Man cannot stand a meaningless life. Carl Jung, memories, dreams, reflections. Have you ever felt it? A strange hollowness in your chest, even when you're in a crowded room. A sense of being a stranger in your own life, playing a role you never chose. It's a silent pain of the modern era, an epidemic of emptiness that haunts the contemporary man. We're told the cure is a better job, a faster car, a new relationship. But what if the problem isn't outside of us? What if the void we feel is the echo of a vast, forgotten inner world? To understand this, today we won't just analyze an idea. We will follow a man. Let's call him the director. He has it all. Success, status, a penthouse apartment overlooking a city that never sleeps. He is the ideal. But every night, as the city lights twinkle below, he feels a terrifying emptiness. The story of the director is our story. And to find the answer, we need the guidance of someone who was not afraid to look into the darkness, Carl Jung. His answer is not comfortable. It's not a 5-step plan to happiness. Instead, it invites us on a dangerous journey into our own inner world, to confront the parts of ourselves we have been taught to fear, deny, and repress. The journey of the director, and of us, begins with what everyone sees, the mask he wears every day. Jung called this the persona. The persona is the face we present to the world, the good employee, the responsible father, the successful man. It's a necessary tool for social survival. But the director's problem is that he has come to believe the mask is him. Society has painted a picture of the real man. Strong, rational, competitive, emotionless. From a young age, he learned to hide his vulnerability, extinguish his fear, and sever his connection to the world of feeling. He built a persona of competence and calm, an armor of rationality to protect himself from so-called weakness. Pose, look directly at the camera. Have you ever felt like you're playing a part? That feeling is your first awareness of your persona. Our director became an expert at wearing this mask. He makes multi-million-dollar decisions without blinking. But the price is a devastating split within his soul. Everything that doesn't fit the ideal, sensitivity, insecurity, creativity, the need for connection, is deemed unacceptable and pushed down into the basement of the unconscious. He becomes a one-dimensional version of himself. This is the direct source of his feeling of emptiness. He may have everything on the outside, but inside, he feels like a fraud. He is empty because he is literally empty, devoid of the other half of himself. He has sacrificed his authentic self on the altar of social acceptance. But where did all those repressed parts go? They didn't just disappear. This perfect mask, this persona, needs a place to dump everything it deems unacceptable. And that place, Jung calls the shadow. The shadow is our dark side, the container for all the impulses, desires, and traits that we find shameful, immoral, or simply incompatible with our ideal self. It is the lazy, selfish, aggressive, and weak person we swear we are not. Let's return to our director. He believes he is fair and rational, but why does he sometimes fly into a rage at an employee over a minor mistake? Why does he feel a secret, vicious pleasure when a business rival fails? That is the shadow, demanding to be seen. Since he is not conscious of it, it finds its own ways out. A common way is projection. He sees incompetence and laziness everywhere in others because he cannot accept those qualities in himself. Pause. Let's be honest for a moment. What is it in other people that irritates you the most? Arrogance, fakeness, weakness. There's a good chance that it's a part of your own shadow that you haven't accepted. It's not a comfortable thought, but it's a critical step. The real danger is when the shadow is no longer projected, but directly takes control. This is the source of the self-destructive decisions our director can't explain. Why did he cancel a crucial meeting on an impulse? Why did he say a cruel word to someone he loves? Those are the moments the shadow breaks out of its cage. He's living half a life, a civilized shell with a wild beast roaring inside. To become whole, he cannot kill this beast. He must face and tame it. He must acknowledge that he too has the capacity for cruelty, selfishness, and chaos. But why is this so difficult? Why is he so terrified of his own shadow? And in that repressed darkness, something incredibly precious has been thrown out along with it, the bridge to the soul. Jung calls this the anima. The anima is the inner feminine aspect, the female soul figure within a man's psyche. Don't confuse this with gender. The anima is an archetype, a principle. If the masculine principle is logos, reason, structure, discrimination, then the anima is eros, relatedness, feeling, creativity, and intuition. She is the inner guide, connecting a man's consciousness to his own creative and spiritual depths. A man with a healthy connection to his anima is a whole man. He is capable not just of thinking, but of feeling. Not just of achieving, but of relating. But our modern world, the world of the director, has declared war on the anima. Logic is glorified. Emotion is seen as a liability. Intuition is deemed untrustworthy. Vulnerability is the ultimate shame. Our director has brutally repressed his anima. The result? The anima does not disappear. She becomes negative and destructive from within. She manifests as inexplicable moods, irritability, and irrational emotional outbursts. The director finds himself controlled by feelings he doesn't understand and cannot manage. He becomes touchy, vain, and judgmental. Or, an even more common scenario, he projects his anima onto an external woman. He falls into an obsessive love, seeing her not as she is, but as a goddess, a savior, the sole bearer of life's meaning. This relationship is doomed to fail, as no real person can carry the weight of a man's soul. When she inevitably proves to be human, he is crushed, and his love turns to bitterness and misogyny. This is the core reason for his emptiness. He has severed the connection to his own soul. He lives a life devoid of deep feeling, of genuine relatedness, of spiritual meaning. His world is flat and one-dimensional, governed by logic and goals. He feels empty because the bridge to his own deep inner world has been destroyed. At this point, we see that the director's problem is not just his own. It's the symptom of an entire age. His personal tragedy reflects a larger tragedy. Jung called this the loss of myth. For thousands of years, humanity lived within a sacred container. Myths, rituals, and religions were not just stories. They were the language of the soul, a stage upon which the inner dramas, the struggle with the shadow, the union with the anima, could be played out safely. The stories of heroes slaying dragons, of gods dying and being reborn. They were maps for the journey of the soul. But the age of enlightenment, for all its brilliant light of reason, cast a long shadow. Science explained the world with formulas. Thunder was no longer the voice of a god. The forest was no longer enchanted. Man, in his intellectual pride, declared that God was dead. But Jung knew this came at a terrible price. In shattering the old myths, we did not destroy the gods. We only drove them underground, into the depths of our own unconscious. That tremendous psychic energy did not vanish. It flooded back into us, creating a spiritual vacuum. Our director, and all of us, are living in that vacuum. We try to fill it with consumerism, with work, with entertainment. But these are all temporary painkillers. So, what is the path forward for our director, and for you? When all the old maps have been burned, how do we find our way home? Jung's answer lies in one word: individuation. This is not a simple solution, but the greatest journey of a human life. Individuation is the process of becoming an individual, a separate, indivisible, and whole person. It is the process of integrating the conscious and unconscious to become your true, complete self. This is the path the director must take. He must stop running. He must have the courage to turn around, to go down into the basement of his own mind. He must confront his shadow, not to be controlled by it, but to recognize it as a part of him, to reclaim the energy and vitality it holds. He must rebuild the bridge to his Anima, listen to the voice of feeling and intuition, and relearn the language of the soul. This journey is not for the faint of heart. It requires tremendous courage. The courage to look at the ugliest parts of yourself. The courage to walk against the crowd. The courage to feel lonely on your own path. But the reward is not just the absence of emptiness. The reward is a life that is worth living. A life of meaning, depth, and authenticity. It is the difference between merely existing and truly being alive. It's the only way to heal the modern emptiness at its root, by finding the regulating center of the entire psyche, which Jung called the self. And that is when we understand Jung's words completely. Man cannot stand a meaningless life. The journey of individuation, as dark and difficult as it is the journey to find that lost meaning. It is not a choice. For the modern man feeling empty, it is a necessity. It is the only way back home.